And now it's time for Book Report, the Armaya Fox. Tonight's report, The Stand by Stephen King.
Oh my god, it's the greatest book I've ever read in my life! Hey, Trash, what did Old Man Simple say when he tortured? Spoilers! There's this lab called Project Blue, and where a deadly virus escapes. That has a rate of 99.4% of fatalities in the human population. And the United States military is course to cover it up, even if it means everybody dies. Gee, that sounds exactly like China in 2020. The reason it spreads is because some guy called Campion managed to escape the base with the lab with his family, and they all got away to a small town in Texas before dying 3 days later, which caused the government to contain everyone in the town in a viral disease lab to try to cure them. And there's a guy named Stuart Redmond who's immune for some reason, and they have no idea why. Meanwhile, there's this girl named Franny Goldsmith who lives in Maine! If you're playing the Stephen King drinking game, take a shot now. Anyways, she's preggers even though she was on the pill, but she no longer loves the man who did it to her. Her father is understanding, but her mother is a crazy woman who freaks out when she hears it. Soon the mother contracts a disease that becomes known as Captain Trips and dies. And her father dies shortly afterwards. And so does everyone in Maine. Besides her and Harold Lauder, the fat, pimply kid nobody likes. For some reason, I really liked Harold. The same way I connected with Anakin Skywalker. So I guess I just like angsty teen characters who go to the dark side. Meanwhile, a man named Larry Underwood, a singer who gets a hit song, which, considering the fact that it doesn't actually exist, means I can sing my own rendition of it and not get a copyright strike. Baby, can you dig your man? He's a righteous man. Tell me, baby, can you dig your man? And he finds out he overspent on a party, and now some unsavory people are after him. So he goes to his mother in New York to get away from them. And what would have happened if they found him there? And what would they have done to his mother to get to him? I don't like to think. And while there, he spends the night with a black woman, who he leaves in a big hurry. And she tells him, "You ain't no nice guy," and throws a spatula at him. And that becomes a running thought in Larry's mind throughout the book. The not being a nice guy part, not the spatula. And then his mother gets sick along with most of the rest of New York and dies. Meanwhile, a deaf mute named Nick Andros gets beat up in Arkansas, robbed, and wakes up in a jail where the sheriff helps him to arrest the guys who did it to him. And when the sheriff gets sick, Nick becomes a deputy. And when the sheriff dies, he's the only one in town who can watch over the prisoners. Suddenly, after the power goes out, the main bully who beat him sneaks up on him and tries to make him blind, deaf, and mute. But Nick gets the better of him and unalives him. Meanwhile, a man named Lloyd gets arrested for being in a high-stake aliving spree. And even though he wasn't the one who unalived those people, he's legally about to be sentenced to death anyways because he was simply there. But before he can go to trial, the judge gets sick, and soon everyone in the jail people are too sick to go to work. And Lloyd, who is not, gets stuck locked up for days without anyone to feed him. And he starts to feed on a rat and a dead cellmate's leg. Gross, but a man's gotta do what a man's gotta do. Meanwhile, Sue Redmond is about to be unalived as well, because he knows too much. But Sue is like, "Oh my god, a rat!" And the would-be assassin is like, "Huh?" And so Sue managed to escape the facility. Hooray! And all the while, everyone is getting strange dreams about either an old black woman named Mother Abigail, or someone they know simply as the Dark Man. Mother Abigail seems to be God's apostle, while the Dark Man, who goes by the name Randall Flagg, is the Antichrist. And honestly, when it comes to the Antichrist stories, The Stand is a superior book to the Omen movies. Hey, that'd make an interesting crossover fic. Randall Flagg and Damien Thorne. That would be a match made in hell, wouldn't it? Meanwhile, there's this guy simply referred to as the Trash Can Man, because infamous for setting people's trash cans on fire. I've set a trash can on fire once. It was an accident with a firework on Independence Day. Anyways, the Trash Can Man is introduced in the scene where he deliberately goes out of his way to blow up an oil tank. And the explosion is huge, but still not the biggest bang in this book. And then he gets a vision from the Dark Man who's like, "Do you want me to set you to burn?" And Trashy is like, "My life for you." And the Dark Man is like, "Yes, but I don't think it will come to that." Dramatic irony! The Dark Man also saves Lloyd from prison and makes him his right-hand man. Then begins a long trek our characters make all over the United States, where eventually Sue, Harold, Freddy meet up with Glenn Bateman and go into Vermont, and then Nebraska, then Colorado, meeting more people on the way. And Larry Underwood meets a woman named Nadine Cross, who was destined to be Randy's bride. And they also meet others, and they are following the trail of Sue, Harold, Franny, and Glenn because Harold keeps leaving road signs whenever they change course. Nick Andros is a mentally handicapped individual named Tom Cullen, who turns out to be the real hero by the end of the book. Nick and Tom go on to Nebraska, where they meet up with Mother Abigail, with a group of other people they also meet along the way, like Ralph Butner, and then they leave for Boulder, Colorado. Meanwhile, the trash can man is heading to Las Vegas, which he calls Ciabla Bumpity Bumpity Bump. And on his way there, he encounters the kid, who doesn't appear in any film adaptation of the book, which is a shame because despite being a minor character who's only in one long chapter, he is a character you won't soon forget about after reading about him. The kid is like, I'll be going to that dark man, but I won't be working for him long. Soon I will take over. You believe that, happy crappy? And the dark man hears is like, you think so? Catch these teeth! And he summons a horde of wolves to devour the kid and lead Trashy safely to the other side of the Eisenhower Tunnel. After a few days on his own, he arrives in Las Vegas, where he meets Lloyd and a bunch of other crooks who have gone to the dark man's side. And the next day, one of them gets crucified for being a drug addict. That's right, the dark man is doing the same thing the Romans did to Jesus. And then all our good guys move to Boulder, Colorado, and create the Boulder Free Zone, which is a society where all the good people come to live, while all the bad people go to Vegas. To be fair, Las Vegas is a place that was built on sin. And Mother Abigail has lost her connection to God, and she wonders why for a while. And the invisible man in the sky finally tells her, go wander in the wilderness for a few weeks. And she's like, but why? And he's like, to set up a Deus Ex Machina for later. And she's like, okay. So everyone is wondering where she's gone the next day, with most people thinking her God is taking care of her. And the more rational-minded people thinking she'll end up dead at her advanced age. Meanwhile, Harold gets jealous of Sue Redmond for a diary that Franny Goldsmith wrote that she secretly read. And then he begins to write one of his own, filled with nothing but hate for Sue Redmond and everyone around him. He's been losing weight and his acne has been clearing. He's turning into a good-looking guy, but he still believes the people think of him as the way they always did. And I just want to give the guy a hug and tell him there'll be other girls out there. And indeed, another girl does show up, Nadine Cross, who came to Boulder with Larry. And Nadine's like, give your soul to the dark man. I'll let you experience every fantasy you've ever wanted. And Harold is like, okay. Meanwhile, the Free Zone Committee sends 3 people to investigate what's going on in Las Vegas. One an old judge, a second a woman named Dana, and third Tom Cullen, who has been hypnotized in order to go. I got hypnotized once. Now every time someone says Dr. Zaius, 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 oh, Dr. Zaius, Dr. Zaius, Dr. Zaius. And I tell them to come back the next time the moon's full. The next part I can't see on YouTube without being flagged for their guidelines, so I'll just give a complicated metaphor. Do you remember that SpongeBob episode, Dying for Pie, when Squidward finds the pirates loading their ship with pies, and the pirates say that these pies have an explosive taste? Well, Harold and Nadine plan to build a machine that will deliver a big pie at the next council meeting that Sue and Franny, Nick and Larry and the others are on. And Harold is just about to unleash the pie when Mother Abigail comes back and instructs everyone except Nick Sandros, who wants the pie and gets served the biggest slice. Then Mother Abigail is about to die and tells the 5 survivors of the committee that the 4 men amongst them are going to go into the west and confront the dark man. And that one would follow along the way. And after that, she doesn't know what will happen next. And then she dies. God chosen one, ladies and gentlemen. And so they set off on the road. And we soon find out that things are not going well for the dark man. 2 spies that he's aware of have died without telling him anything he needs to know. And with the 3rd, he doesn't have any clue who it is, but he can't read the mind of Tom Cullen because he doesn't have one. And he leaves before anyone wises up to him. Hooray for the disabled! And then Trashy sends pies to the Dark Man's airbase. And now he can't send others to the Free Zone. And the Trash Man's like, how am I going to redeem myself and make up to myself to my Lord and Savior Randall Flagg? And he goes to find himself the biggest pie he can find. And Sue falls in a ditch and breaks his leg. And the other 3 have to go on without him. Oh no! And then they get arrested by the Dark Man's men. And after he put to death by a machine that will dismember them. And since my favorite horror movies series is Saw, I find myself thinking that Flagg should give them a live or die choice. But anyways, then the Trash Man shows up, and he's got the A-pie, and God shows up. It's a literal Deus Ex Machina. And the Dark Man is like, what the fuck? And God is like, BOOM! And Trashy died the way he lived, like a goddamn psychopath. But it's not over. We have another 5 chapters and an epilogue to go. Tom Cullen finds Sue Redmond, saves his life, and together they spend the winter trying to get back to Boulder. They eventually make it and Sue learns that Franny's baby was born. But it's got Captain Trips. Oh no! But apparently it has half an immunity from Franny. And now is able to fight it. And the boy named Peter lives. But in a shocking epilogue, the Dark Man is still alive. And he's in the jungle and is going to become the new god to the uncivilized tribe of peoples. The end? So I really love this book. It's a book that has done more to make me believe in God than those Bible stories have ever done. And I recommend everyone read this book, or at least I would, but this thing is a whopping 11,500 pages long. But I don't think it wastes any of those pages at all. Now I read the complete and uncut edition, which was a 1990 revision of a book originally published in 1978. And because the subject matter of the book, he updated the time period from 1978 to 1990, so it feels more in line with the year it was published. But it fails miserably in some ways. First of all, it says that one of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies was released in 1990. But there wasn't one in 1990. Also, it said Rambo 4 came out in 1990. And that wouldn't come out until 2007. Then again, Baby Kid and You Dig Your Man didn't come out in 1990. In fact, it never came out at all. Anyways, this is Armaya Fox saying, subscribe! Please subscribe! Come on, help a guy out, will you? Come on, subscribe! If you subscribe, I'll read The Dark Tower